week we move into Unit 3, thinking about the other. Now, you'll remember from my presentation at the beginning of the semester that we started with thinking about the thinking, so inside the head, and then we move outward to thinking about the self. Last week you submitted your This I Believe essays / podcasts. So we've moved from inside the head to thinking about your own beliefs and values, etc. And now this week we move into thinking about the other, where your major assignment is a profile essay. This will take up our time for the next 3 weeks, and you'll be applying the writing techniques, styles, etc. about the things you've learned about craft over the last 6 weeks to your profile essay. And one of those is crafting an effective thesis statement, wherein you state what your essay will be about, what you're talking about, and the other would be using using description to show your readers things instead of just telling them about it. So those are things we want to focus on here in your profile essay as you write it: crafting effective thesis statement and showing the aspect of this other person, showing aspects of this other person's life instead of just telling us about them. So you're going to want to use some description here. Now for this essay, I'm not going to go through all of the requirements for you. Actually got them pulled up here already because I trust that you can read them. I just wanted to point out that you should be choosing to profile someone whose experiences or perspectives differ from your own. So a lot of people choose family members who have a similar experience, and in the past that doesn't work out so well. I want you to look outside of yourself to find someone who is different than you are, whose experience, their thoughts, their opinions, they are different from you, so that you can get attempt to enter that experience, and through observation and through your interview, and gain some experience in another person's shoes. Now, from the interview, someone asked what the goal of this interview should be. It should be to gather information related to one aspect of this person's life, the thing that you want to focus on in your profile. This shouldn't be a whole big life story. It should just be one aspect of this person's life that you want to focus on, about who they are, one thing perhaps that has made them who they are, etc. So during the interview, you're going to want to ask questions that help you gather information about this aspect of the person's life, and you're going to want to observe as well. How are they acting as they tell you their story, as they answer the questions? What kinds of how do they present themselves to you, to the world, etc. So that should be the goal of your interview. I also wanted to point out that this project should be, the final essay should be type double-spaced 750 words in APA font, which you should be familiar with that by now. There's the criteria here that I will be gauging your essay's effectiveness on, and so that is basically a profile essay in a nutshell. The discussion boards, they're open for business. Once you've done your interview, post your interview notes here. You do not need to comment on anyone else's interview notes. They're just there to kind of give you all an idea of who you're interviewing, who everyone in the class is interviewing. This week also you'll do some mid-course feedback. Take a feedback survey that will give me an idea of how you're experiencing the course. This will be anonymous, etc. So you can be honest and open and provide feedback that will help me to improve as an instructor and help to improve the course experience for you for the last half of the semester. So that's pretty much what we have on the docket for this week. I also wanted to point out that I don't know why I forgot about this, but if you're unhappy with your grade on any of the essays that you submit, take a look at my revision policy right here, Brother Chadwick's revision policy. Take a look at that, and if you'd like to revise and resubmit your essay for the chance at a higher grade, read through this policy and then get in contact with me about your plans for revising, etc., etc. So check out the revision policy, and you can have a chance to make up some of the points that you may have missed on any essay. Now, real quickly, I just wanted to spend a couple minutes, maybe a minute or so, talking about the gospel vision of language, continue that project that I've begun, sharing with you my thoughts on language. Now, in John chapter 1, we read that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, what we read here as the Word is translated from the Greek word logos, which means something said. So here, John's word, it refers to something spoken. It's an idea that's mirrored in the additive structure of the opening statement. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's a mark of spoken language there, that we add things upon what has come before. Now, when translated with the definite article as it is in John, meaning the Word, the is the definite article, it refers especially to the divine expression, who is Christ, who is someone who existed in the beginning. One of his names is I am, which means that he existed then, he exists now, and he will exist forever. He is the eternal I am. And through John's witness of Christ, when it's heard in conjunction with what we now have as the later verses, when it talks about creating the world and what Christ did when he was in the world, it becomes pretty clear that Christ is the Father's deepest, most creative, most transformative expression to humanity. Everything that God does comes to us. Everything that God says comes to us through Christ. He is God's Word. He is God's expression. And He is the Father's promise of salvation, which is spoken through the very structures of the cosmos. Because that was how they were created, with the Word. God spoke, and there was light. Everything was created via God's Word. So here we have this Word, God's Word, the divine expression, coming to us in the form of Christ, the Word made flesh. I love that. It gives me tingles to think about it, that there is such power in words that we can create worlds, that we are saved even through the Word. So just something to think about as you continue writing, continue thinking about language and what your language does and how it influences you and how it influences others. Because we should be responsible language users, because we can be creative. We do create things with our language. Whether we understand that fully or not. I don't understand it fully. Anyway, if you have any questions, please do feel free to let me know. My inbox is always open.